Hello beautiful people, my name is Jacinta and I welcome you to another episode of Real Estate Investing with Jacinta. I set up this show so as to inform you and educate you on everything real estate so you make the right purchases and investment decisions. To our returning visitors, I say a very big thank you for always stopping by to see what is new in the real estate market in Nigeria. And to you, our new visitors, you know what to do. Click the subscribe button, turn on your post notifications so you don't miss out on any of my videos. Our topic for today is land titles in Nigeria. Understanding land titles in Nigeria is very important because land title is one of the most important factors to consider when purchasing a property. Land title also influences the price of a property. You could see two lands at about the same location with different prices because it comes with different titles. So today we'll talk about land titles and for you to understand the different land titles we have in Nigeria. So stay tuned. Welcome back. So I'll start by saying that the Land Use Act of 1978 made it mandatory for the government to approve any land transaction. So this is where land title comes into play. Whether the land is committed or the land is under acquisition or the government indicated interest in that land, this is all about land title. So you may ask, what is land title? Land title is the evidence of a person's right to or ownership of the land. Now, this is an official record detailing who the owner of that land is. So, for you to understand land title, I will start with classification of land. There are two categories of land. One, free lands, and the second one, acquired land. Free lands are lands that the government has not shown any interest in that land, so perfection of title in those lands can be easy. Acquired lands are lands that fall within designated areas known as urban areas, and they are said to be under government acquisition or global acquisition until they are deemed committed or free. There are two types of acquired lands. We have committed acquisition and global/general acquisition. A parcel of land is said to be under committed acquisition when the government has indicated an interest to use that land for specific purpose, such as provision of amenities. So those lands are not available for use by an individual. So if you purchase any land that is under committed acquisition, when the government is ready, they will demolish any structure that is on that land and you will not be compensated. So please stay away from committed acquisition lands. Global/general acquisition. These are lands that does not have any specific government purpose yet, and such lands can later be free or committed as the case may be. Just like I said, these are lands that fall within urban areas, so they are said to be under global acquisition, like some of the lands we have in Ibeju-Lekki. So they are said to be under global acquisition until they are released and free through a process known as excision. Excision is the process whereby the government releases a portion of an expanse of land that is not committed to the community. Let me repeat that. Excision is the process whereby the government releases a portion of an expanse of land that is not committed to the community. If a parcel of land that was formerly under acquisition becomes excised, it is then considered free and eventually becomes gazetted. So Gazette will now become the title on that land, and such lands are safe to buy because proper title can be processed on that land. The second case where lands under acquisition can be released to individuals is through a process known as ratification or regularization. Now, the first case where a land can be released is through a process known as excision. Now, the second case where a land under acquisition can also be released is through a process known as ratification or regularization. Now, this entails you buying the land properly from the government, and the only condition to this case is that the land does not fall within committed area. If it falls within committed area, it can never be ratified. So that is why we always stated that you should stay clear away from committed acquisition lands. So before I continue, have you subscribed to my channel? If not, what are you waiting for? Kindly like this video, hit the subscribe button, and turn on your post notifications so you don't miss out on any of my videos, so you'll be able to make the right purchases and investment decisions. Now, this takes us to what a gazette is. Now, a gazette is an official record book where all government details are spelled out, detailed, and recorded. Now, a gazette shows you the communities or the villages that have been granted excision and the number of acres or hectares of land that the government has given to them. So what it means is that it shows you the community that's already been excised, and it is only those excised portion of land that the traditional family or the community is entitled to sell any of the land to the public. They cannot sell a land that is not granted excision. If they do that, that land will fall under government acquisition. And later in the years, if the government decides to acquire that particular land that is within the excise, that is within the land that has been excised to them, then you are entitled to get your compensation if the land is within the excise area. But if it's not, you will not be entitled to any compensation. So when you see a land that has the title approved excision, it shows that they are still in the process of getting that land gazetted. Now, this brings us to the most popular title we all know, which is Certificate of Occupancy, also known as CofO. CofO is a certificate issued by the state government to an individual or a group conferring the right of occupancy of a property for 99 years because all lands belong to the government. So this takes us to governor's consent. CofO and governor's consent are almost the same thing because they're actually saying that the government has approved the transaction, just that CofO is for 99 years. So for you to process a governor's consent on the land must be a gazetted land or a CofO land. To understand governor's consent, let us use this scenario. Mr. A purchases a virgin land that has not been used and is not under acquisition. He is entitled to get a CofO on that land. If Mr. A decides to sell it to Mrs. B, for that transaction to be completed, Mrs. B has to obtain governor's consent so that it will be legal in the eyes of the government. And later in the years, if Mrs. B decides to sell that particular land to Mr. C, for that transaction to also be completed, Mr. C has to obtain a governor's consent so that it will be legal in the eyes of the government. And so the process continues. So it is only one person that is entitled to get a CofO on that land. There is no two CofOs. We just have one CofO on a particular land. And the power of governor to consent such transaction can be found in section 22 of our Land Use Act of 1978 as amended. So in conclusion, in order to avoid buying government acquisition lands and spending more money or maybe losing your properties, it is highly recommended that you know the status of the property you want to buy. You need to know it through a process known as charting. That's going to the Lands and Survey to chart that property that you want to purchase, so that you don't buy a property that is under government acquisition, or a property that you buy later and start and probably lose the property later in the years. So this brings us to the end of our today's episode, which is land titles in Nigeria. Yes, I spoke about the classification of lands, which are the free lands and the acquired lands, what free lands are, what acquired lands are, and from there we went to the types of acquired lands, which is the committed acquisition and the general/global acquisition. From there we went to Excision, and from there we went to Gazette, certificate of occupancy, and governor's consent. These are land titles that you should know about. That is why we always recommend that you know the status of your land, of the property that you want to buy, before you pay for any of that property. And I hope you learned something new today. So thank you for watching this video, and if you are yet to subscribe to my channel, kindly like the video, hit the subscribe button, and turn on your post notifications so you don't miss out on any of my videos. So that, and also share it to your families, to your friends, so that they will understand the land titles that we have in Nigeria. Till I come your way next time, do have a great evening. Bye.